Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into Litecoin.
Litecoin.
Yeah, Litecoin, often called the digital silver to Bitcoin's digital gold.
Right.
We'll be using an excerpt from Litecoin, the digital silver of the crypto world, as our guide today.
Okay, sounds good.
So are you ready to kind of explore what Litecoin is all about, what it does well, where it might fall short, and what its future might look like?
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right.
It's a pretty interesting story. Litecoin was created in 2011 by Charlie Lee,
Oh, wow. Okay.
a former Google engineer, and he basically wanted to build a better Bitcoin.
A better Bitcoin. That's a bold goal. What aspects of Bitcoin did he set out to improve?
Well, I think he was really focused on making transactions faster and more accessible for everyday users.
So when we talk about Litecoin being faster, how much faster are we actually talking?
Okay, so think of it this way. Bitcoin transactions can take around 10 minutes to be confirmed.
10 minutes.
The Litecoin transactions are typically confirmed in just 2.5 minutes.
Wow. That's a significant difference. I can definitely see the appeal of quicker confirmations, especially for things like point-of-sale transactions, where you don't want to be waiting around.
Right, exactly. That speed advantage is really appealing for both merchants and users.
For sure, for sure. Our source mentions something called the script algorithm. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so the script algorithm that's at the heart of Litecoin's mining process.
Okay.
Unlike Bitcoin, which uses the SHA-256 algorithm, Litecoin was designed to be more accessible for mining with regular computer hardware.
Interesting.
It was built to be memory hard, meaning it needs a lot of RAM to do the calculations needed for mining.
Uh-huh.
The goal was to level the playing field a bit.
So by making it more memory intensive, they were trying to make it harder for specialized mining hardware to dominate the network.
Precisely, yeah. The idea was to allow everyday users with standard computers a better shot at participating in mining and earning rewards.
That makes a lot of sense. It sounds like they were really aiming for a more decentralized approach to mining. Did it work?
Initially, it did help to distribute mining power more evenly. However, as technology advanced, specialized script ASICs were developed,
Okay.
and these have become more prevalent in Litecoin mining.
So even with a clever algorithm, the drive for efficiency eventually leads to specialized hardware. It seems technology always finds a way.
It does. It's an ongoing challenge in the world of cryptocurrencies.
It really is. Okay, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about supply. We all know that Bitcoin has a limited supply of 21 million coins. How does Litecoin compare?
Litecoin also has a fixed supply, but it's capped at 84 million coins, 4 times that of Bitcoin.
So there's a larger total supply of Litecoin, but it's still a finite resource, which as many believe helps maintain its value. What about the cost of actually using Litecoin? How do its transaction fees stack up against Bitcoin's?
Litecoin has significantly lower transaction fees than Bitcoin,
Okay,
making it a more cost-effective option, especially for those frequent smaller transactions.
that's good to hear. So if I'm using Litecoin for everyday purchases or smaller online transactions, those lower fees could really add up to some significant savings over time.
You're absolutely right. It's definitely something to consider, especially if you're making a lot of transactions.
Absolutely. All right, let's dive into the real-world uses of Litecoin. It's not just a digital collectible, right? What are some examples of how Litecoin is being used today?
Litecoin is primarily used as a medium of exchange. You'll find a growing number of merchants and service providers accepting Litecoin payments.
That's interesting. Are we talking about major retailers or more niche online businesses?
It's a mix of both.
Yeah.
You'll find online retailers, gaming platforms, even some brick-and-mortar stores starting to accept Litecoin.
Yeah.
It's definitely gaining traction as a payment option.
So you can actually use Litecoin to buy real-world goods and services. It's not just a speculative asset.
Exactly. That's always been the core vision for Litecoin, to be a practical and usable form of digital currency.
Okay, so beyond payments, is Litecoin being used for anything else?
It is. Some people view Litecoin as a store of value, similar to Bitcoin. And it's also been a testing ground for new technologies later adopted by Bitcoin.
A testing ground, can you give us an example?
Think of the Lightning Network.
Okay.
This technology, which enables faster and cheaper transactions, was actually first implemented on Litecoin before being adopted by Bitcoin.
That's fascinating.
Hmm.
So Litecoin plays a role in pushing the boundaries of what's possible with cryptocurrencies.
Absolutely. It's often been a pioneer in implementing new features and innovations.
Now let's get into the nitty-gritty Litecoin strengths and weaknesses. What are some of its biggest advantages?
As we've touched on already, speed and low transaction fees are two of its most notable strengths, and its widespread adoption on major exchanges makes it readily available to a broad user base.
So it's fast, it's cheap to use, and it's easy to get your hands on. But what about the flip side? What are some of Litecoin's weaknesses or challenges?
Well, as you know, the crypto space is incredibly competitive. Litecoin faces stiff competition from other cryptocurrencies, like Ethereum with its smart contracts and decentralized applications, and stablecoins, which offer more price stability.
So Litecoin is feeling the pressure from those newer, flashier players in the crypto arena. Does it have any other vulnerabilities?
Perhaps its biggest weakness is the lack of groundbreaking innovation in recent years. While it's been a reliable workhorse, it hasn't seen the same level of development as some of its competitors.
And of course, we can't ignore the elephant in the room volatility.
Right, Litecoin, like all cryptocurrencies, is subject to price swings.
Yeah.
While this volatility can be exciting for traders, it also makes it a riskier proposition for everyday use and mainstream adoption.
I see. So while speed and low fees are enticing, the volatility is something potential Litecoin users should be aware of. Now, our source mentions something called Litecoin price cycles. What can you tell us about those?
It's interesting, actually. Litecoin's price, like many cryptocurrencies, tends to follow cyclical patterns.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What factors contribute to these cycles?
One major influence is the Litecoin halving.
Okay.
Every 4 years, the reward for mining Litecoin is cut in half. This is designed to control inflation and maintain Litecoin's scarcity. Think of it like a controlled release of pressure designed to keep Litecoin's value from deflating over time.
So less Litecoin is being created, which in theory should increase its value over time. Have we seen this play out in the past?
We have. The previous halvings, which occurred in 2015 and 2019, were followed by significant price surges. It seems investors get excited about that reduced supply and its potential impact on value.
That makes sense. So the halving events are a big deal for Litecoin, but it sounds like there's more to these price cycles than just the halving.
Yes, Litecoin's price also tends to follow the overall trends of the cryptocurrency market.
So when Bitcoin goes up, Litecoin often follows suit and vice versa.
To a large extent, yes, Bitcoin is the dominant player in the crypto market, and its movements often influence the prices of other coins, including Litecoin.
It's like the old saying, a rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah. Exactly. Litecoin often mirrors Bitcoin's movements, though it also has its own unique price dynamics.
Okay, so we've got the halving events and the overall crypto market trends. Are there any other factors that can influence Litecoin's price?
Yes, adoption and news play a significant role.
Ah, that makes sense. Positive developments like increased merchant adoption or integration into major payment platforms would likely boost confidence and drive the price up, while negative news like security breaches or regulatory crackdowns would likely have the opposite effect.
You've got it. The crypto market is very sensitive to news and sentiment.
So staying informed is crucial for anyone interested in Litecoin or any cryptocurrency for that matter. But let's say someone is intrigued by what they've heard and wants to dip their toes into the Litecoin pool. How easy is it to actually buy some?
It's relatively straightforward these days. There are a number of reputable exchanges where you can purchase Litecoin, such as Binance, Coinbase, and Kraken.
Okay, I've heard of those. Can you walk us through the process?
Sure. You create an account, go through a verification process to confirm your identity, and then you can typically fund your account with fiat currency, like US dollars or euros or even other cryptocurrencies.
Oh,
Once your account is funded, you can exchange those funds for Litecoin.
that sounds pretty user-friendly. So I've got my Litecoin, but where do I keep it safe? I can't just stash it under my mattress, can I?
Not quite. You'll need a digital wallet to store your Litecoin securely.
What are my options there?
There are various types of wallets available, from software wallets like Trust Wallet, you can use on your smartphone or computer, to hardware wallets like Ledger, which offer enhanced security by storing your keys offline.
So you choose your wallet based on your security needs and how you plan to use your Litecoin.
Got it. Now, for the big question, what's the current price of Litecoin looking like? And what about its future prospects? What does the crystal ball say? As of October 2023, Litecoin is trading in the range of 60-70 USD. But as we've discussed, the crypto market is incredibly volatile, so those prices can change quickly. As for Litecoin's future, well, if I had a crystal ball that could accurately predict it, I'd probably be sipping cocktails on a beach somewhere.
That's fair. Predicting the future of crypto is a fool's game. But you must have some insights into what factors might influence Litecoin's future trajectory.
Of course, I think its long-term success will depend on a few key things. Can it maintain its relevance in a rapidly evolving landscape? Can it continue to be adopted by both users and merchants? And will we see new and innovative technological upgrades that allow it to compete with the newer players in the space? These are all important questions that will ultimately determine Litecoin's fate.
Okay, that gives us a lot to think about. We've covered Litecoin's origins, its features, and benefits, the factors that influence its price, even how to buy and store it. But this is just the beginning of our deep dive.
We've only scratched the surface. There's so more to explore, including how Litecoin might fit into the future of finance and what role it might play in a world increasingly reliant on digital transactions.
We'll be back soon to continue our exploration of Litecoin and its potential impact. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. So far, we've covered Litecoin's origins, its key features and its strengths and weaknesses. But what about its future? Can Litecoin, the digital silver, keep pace in a world with so many other cryptocurrencies, constantly emerging?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's definitely facing some serious competition. Newer, more versatile cryptocurrencies like Ethereum are attracting a lot of attention, particularly from developers.
Right. Ethereum is the platform that enables those smart contracts and decentralized applications, correct? That seems to be where a lot of the innovation is happening.
Exactly. Ethereum's opening up a whole new world of possibilities,
Yeah.
Beyond simple transactions, and that's certainly putting pressure on Litecoin to evolve.
So for Litecoin to stay competitive, it needs to step up its game. What steps could it take to ensure its continued relevance in the crypto world?
Well, continued adoption is crucial. The more people who use Litecoin for everyday transactions, the more value it will accrue if it can become a widely accepted form of payment. That'll go a long way towards securing its future.
It's all about creating that network effect, right? The more widely used it is, the more useful and valuable it becomes. But adoption alone might not be enough.
You're right. Litecoin needs to demonstrate its ability to innovate and adapt to the changing landscape. Can it introduce new features and functionalities that will attract developers and users? That's a key question.
So it's not just about being faster and cheaper than Bitcoin anymore. The game has changed.
The game has definitely evolved. Litecoin needs to find ways to differentiate itself and offer something unique to stay ahead of the curve. Perhaps it could explore niches where its existing strengths are particularly valuable.
Okay, let's say I'm a developer who's excited about the potential of cryptocurrencies. Why would I choose to build on Litecoin rather than a platform like Ethereum, which seems to have more momentum?
That's a great question. Litecoin still has that speed advantage over Bitcoin, and its transaction fees are incredibly low if you're building an application that requires fast, frequent, and cost-effective transactions. Litecoin could be an ideal platform. Think microtransactions, for example.
Microtransactions, can you elaborate on that?
Sure. Imagine using Litecoin to seamlessly pay for small digital content, things like online articles, in-game purchases, or even tipping content creators.
Okay.
Those are all scenarios where speed and low fees are paramount.
Ah, I see. So Litecoin could power the microeconomy of the internet, enabling these tiny but frequent transactions. Are there any other areas where Litecoin's existing advantages could give it an edge?
Cross-border payments are another area where Litecoin could shine its speed, and low fees could make it a very attractive option for sending money internationally.
So bypassing the traditional financial systems, which are often slow and expensive when it comes to international transfers.
Precisely, Litecoin could offer a much more efficient and cost-effective solution for those types of transactions.
Okay, so while Litecoin might not be the flashiest or most feature-rich cryptocurrency out there, it could still carve out a valuable niche for itself by focusing on areas where its existing strengths are in high demand. What about its community? You mentioned earlier that Litecoin has a strong and dedicated community of developers and supporters. What role do they play in its future?
The Litecoin community is incredibly important. They're constantly working on improvements, exploring new possibilities, and advocating for Litecoin's adoption. That level of passion and dedication is invaluable. It ensures that Litecoin remains an active and evolving project.
It's interesting how the community aspect plays such a vital role in the world of cryptocurrencies. It's not just about the technology itself, it's about the people who believe in it and are actively working to make it a success.
Absolutely. The community is what drives innovation adoption, and ultimately the value of a cryptocurrency. Litecoin is fortunate to have a strong and passionate community behind it.
Okay, so Litecoin has its strength, it has a dedicated community, and it has potential niches where it could thrive. But it's also facing intense competition and needs to find ways to innovate. Where do you see Litecoin fitting into the crypto ecosystem 5 or 10 years from now?
That's always a tough question to answer. It's hard to predict the future with any certainty in such a rapidly changing landscape. But if Litecoin can effectively leverage its existing strengths and continue to innovate, I think it has the potential to carve out a solid position for itself.
What would that look like? Can you paint us a picture?
Imagine a world where Litecoin is seamlessly integrated into everyday life. You're using it to make small purchases online, send money to friends and family overseas, even pay for your morning coffee. It's become a widely accepted and trusted form of digital currency that coexists alongside other cryptocurrencies and traditional financial systems.
That sounds like a very optimistic vision. But isn't it possible that Litecoin could get lost in the shuffle, overshadowed by the newer, flashier cryptocurrencies with more features and functionality?
It's certainly possible the crypto space is constantly evolving, and there's always the risk of being overtaken by the next big thing.
So what can Litecoin do to avoid becoming obsolete?
I think it needs to embrace its role as a specialist, focusing on niches where its speed and low fees are truly valuable. It also needs to continue to build on its reputation for reliability and security. And perhaps most importantly, it needs to continue to foster and nurture its strong community. Those are the ingredients for long-term success in the world of crypto.
Okay, I understand the importance of focusing on niches and continuing to innovate. But could Litecoin ever surpass Bitcoin, the original cryptocurrency, in terms of value or adoption?
That's a question that has been debated endlessly in the crypto community. Honestly, it's highly unlikely that Litecoin will ever completely overtake Bitcoin. Bitcoin has a massive first-mover advantage. It's the most recognized and widely held cryptocurrency, and it's often seen as a digital gold, a safe haven asset.
So Bitcoin is like the king of the crypto castle, and it's going to be very difficult to dethrone.
You could say that. However, that doesn't mean Litecoin can't be successful in its own right. There's room for multiple cryptocurrencies to thrive, each serving different purposes and meeting different needs.
I like that perspective. It's not a zero-sum game. The success of one cryptocurrency doesn't necessarily come at the expense of others. There's room for a diverse and thriving crypto ecosystem where different players can coexist and complement each other.
Exactly. It's about finding your niche and excelling within it.
Okay, so maybe Litecoin won't be wearing the crypto crown anytime soon, but it still has the potential to be a valuable and widely used digital currency.
That's the key takeaway. Litecoin's journey is far from over. The crypto landscape is full of surprises and unexpected twists and turns, but Litecoin has proven to be resilient and adaptable. That resilience and adaptability will be crucial as we navigate the evolving world of cryptocurrencies. Now let's shift gears for a moment and delve into the philosophical side of Litecoin. It was created with the intention of being more accessible and decentralized than Bitcoin. Do you think it has lived up to those ideals? That's a complex question. On the one hand, Litecoin is undoubtedly more accessible than Bitcoin in terms of mining. As we discussed earlier, the script algorithm initially allowed individuals to mine using more readily available hardware, making it more difficult for large mining farms to dominate the network.
So it was a step towards a more egalitarian approach to mining, empowering individuals to participate. But didn't we also talk about how specialized mining hardware eventually emerged for Litecoin as well?
Yes, that's right. The development of script ASICs did centralize mining to some extent, and that's a trend we see across many cryptocurrencies.
So it's an ongoing challenge to maintain true decentralization in the face of technological advancements.
Absolutely, it's a constant push and pull. But it's important to remember that decentralization is a spectrum, not an absolute. No cryptocurrency is perfectly decentralized, and Litecoin is somewhere along that spectrum, striving to achieve a greater degree of decentralization.
It's an ongoing journey, and it sounds like the Litecoin community is committed to that journey. Now let's talk about Litecoin's role in the broader context of financial innovation. Some people believe that cryptocurrencies have the potential to revolutionize the way we think about money and value. Others are more skeptical. Where do you stand on this?
I'm cautiously optimistic.
Mm-hmm.
I believe cryptocurrencies like Litecoin offer some intriguing possibilities. They have the potential to make financial transactions faster, cheaper, and more transparent, which could be incredibly beneficial for both individuals and businesses.
And they could potentially empower individuals by giving them more control over their finances, especially those who are underserved by traditional financial institutions.
It's exactly. Cryptocurrencies have the potential to provide financial access to those who have been excluded from the traditional banking system. That's a powerful and exciting proposition. But as with any disruptive technology, there are challenges that need to be addressed.
What are some of the biggest hurdles that cryptocurrencies like Litecoin need to overcome to truly revolutionize finance?
Volatility is a major concern. The wild price swings we see in the crypto market make it difficult for cryptocurrencies to gain widespread adoption as a stable form of payment or a reliable store of value until that volatility is addressed. It will continue to be a barrier to mainstream adoption.
That makes sense. And then there's the regulatory landscape, which is still evolving. Governments around the world are still grappling with how to regulate cryptocurrencies, which creates uncertainty and can stifle innovation.
Absolutely. A clear and consistent regulatory framework is essential for the long-term health and stability of the crypto market. Without it, businesses and investors will remain hesitant to fully embrace cryptocurrencies.
So it's a bit of a wait and see situation. We need to see how these challenges play out before we can fully assess the transformative potential of cryptocurrencies.
I think that's a fair assessment. The technology is still relatively young, and we're still in the early stages of figuring out its capabilities and limitations. It's an exciting time to be involved in the crypto space, but it's also important to be patient and realistic.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit and think about the bigger picture. We've delved into the technical aspects of Litecoin, its potential future, and its role in financial innovation. But what does it all mean for the average person? Why should someone who's not a tech enthusiast or a financial expert care about Litecoin?
That's a crucial question. At the end of the day, technology should serve people, not the other way around. Litecoin, if it fulfills its potential, could make financial transactions more efficient and accessible for everyone. Imagine being able to send money to someone across the globe in minutes with minimal fees, or pay for everyday goods and services using a fast, secure, and decentralized digital currency. Those are possibilities that could impact the lives of countless people.
Those are tangible benefits that anyone can understand and appreciate. It's about making financial transactions easier, faster, and more affordable for everyone.
Precisely. And Litecoin could also play a role in empowering individuals in developing countries who lack access to traditional banking services. It could provide them with a secure way to store their money, send and receive payments, and participate in the global economy.
So Litecoin could potentially help to level the playing field and create a more inclusive financial system.
That's the hope. Of course, there are still hurdles to overcome,
Yeah.
but the potential is there.
Okay, so Litecoin has the potential to benefit individuals, businesses, and even entire economies. But let's be realistic. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of cryptocurrencies out there. Why should someone choose Litecoin over all the others? What makes it stand out?
It's true. The crypto landscape is incredibly crowded and competitive. It's important to do your research and choose a cryptocurrency that aligns with your goals and risk tolerance. Litecoin has a lot to offer: a proven track record, a dedicated community, and a focus on providing fast, affordable, and secure transactions.
It's a cryptocurrency with a clear purpose and a solid foundation.
Exactly. And while it might not have the same hype or notoriety as some of the newer cryptocurrencies, it's a solid choice for those looking for a practical and reliable digital currency.
Okay, we're nearing the end of our deep dive, but I have one final question for you. If you could give one piece of advice to someone who's just starting to explore the world of cryptocurrencies, what would it be?
Be curious, but be cautious. The world of cryptocurrencies is fascinating and full of potential, but it's also a volatile and complex landscape. Take your time to learn and understand the technology, the risks, and the opportunities. Start small, diversify your investments, and never invest more than you can afford to lose.
That's excellent advice. Approach crypto with a healthy balance of curiosity and caution. And with that sage wisdom, I think we've reached the end of part 2 of our deep dive into the world of Litecoin. We've covered a lot of ground, from its potential future to its role in financial innovation and its philosophical underpinnings. I'm already feeling much more informed about Litecoin, and I hope our listeners are too.
We've only scratched the surface, but we've laid a good foundation for understanding what Litecoin is all about and its potential impact on the world.
But there's still more to discuss. We'll be back soon for the final part of our Litecoin deep dive, where we'll wrap things up and leave you with some thought-provoking questions to ponder. Until then, happy exploring.
Welcome back to our Litecoin deep dive. We've explored its past, present, and potential future. We've talked about its strengths and weaknesses, its role in the evolving financial landscape, and its potential impact on our lives as we wrap up. Let's reflect on what we've learned and consider some key takeaways.
It's been quite a journey. We've covered a lot of ground, from the technical intricacies of Litecoin's design to its broader philosophical implications.
It's been fascinating to see how a seemingly complex technology like cryptocurrency can be broken down and explained in a way that anyone can understand. I think we've done a good job of demystifying Litecoin and making it accessible to our listeners.
I agree. We've strived to strike that balance between providing in-depth information and keeping the conversation engaging and relatable. One of the things that struck me throughout our discussion is that Litecoin, despite being in Bitcoin's shadow for so long, has quietly been making its own contributions to the world of cryptocurrencies.
It's true, Litecoin has often been a pioneer, testing out new technologies and paving the way for others to follow the Lightning Network is a great example of that.
Right. The Lightning Network, which enables faster and cheaper transactions, was first implemented on Litecoin before being adopted by Bitcoin. That's a significant contribution that often gets overlooked.
It is, and it highlights Litecoin's willingness to experiment and push the boundaries of what's possible with blockchain technology.
I think it also speaks to the strength of Litecoin's community. They're constantly tinkering, exploring, and pushing for progress.
Absolutely. A strong and active community is essential for any cryptocurrency to thrive. Litecoin is fortunate to have such a passionate and dedicated group of supporters.
Now, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with something to ponder. We talked about how Litecoin is often referred to as the digital silver to Bitcoin's digital gold. Do you think that analogy holds up?
It's an interesting analogy, and I think it captures some important aspects of the relationship between Litecoin and Bitcoin. Bitcoin, with its larger market cap, its longer history, and its wider recognition, is often seen as a store of value. Like gold, Litecoin, on the other hand, with its focus on speed and affordability, is perhaps better suited for everyday transactions like silver.
It's a compelling argument, Bitcoin as a long-term investment, a hedge against inflation, a digital safe haven, and Litecoin as a practical tool for facilitating everyday transactions, a currency for the digital age.
Precisely. And just as silver has its own unique properties and uses that make it valuable, so too does Litecoin.
It's not about one being better than the other, it's about recognizing their different strengths and applications. Just as gold and silver have coexisted for centuries, perhaps Bitcoin and Litecoin can find their own equilibrium in the evolving world of digital currencies.
That's a possibility worth exploring. The future of cryptocurrencies is still being written, and it's likely to be a multifaceted and dynamic landscape with room for a variety of players.
So as we conclude this deep dive, what key takeaways would you want our listeners to remember about Litecoin?
I think it's important to remember that Litecoin is a cryptocurrency with a clear purpose to provide fast, affordable, and secure transactions. It's been a pioneer in the crypto space, testing new technologies and pushing the boundaries of what's possible, and it has a strong and dedicated community that believes in its potential. While it might not have the same hype or notoriety as some of the newer cryptocurrencies, it's a solid choice for those looking for a practical and reliable digital currency with a proven track record.
Well said. I think that's a perfect note to end on to our listeners. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the world of Litecoin. We hope you found it informative and engaging. We encourage you to continue exploring the fascinating world of cryptocurrencies, and as always, do your own research before making any financial decisions.
And remember, the world of crypto is constantly evolving. So stay curious, stay informed, and keep an open mind. Until next time, happy exploring.